values in your database table. But you can imagine that if you have a table that has entries from around the world, or heck, for around the US, right? You can imagine that multiple tuples would have can have different time zones as well. And that usually ends up being quite a difficult thing to evaluate if you're looking at some data or evaluating some data. So in general, the best case would be for you to convert the time into the coordinated universal time, so UTC time, and then store the UTC time in your database and have a program that converts the UTC time back to the current time zone wherever it's required. So as a person whose database is all in time zones of UTC times, I can then check that database in, let's say, Florida, and I would get that time zone from Florida and convert that from UTC to Florida time or mountain time or what have you. And that would be a better way to design your database than having the time zone saved in your database, right? Okay, we can also use something called a timestamp attribute. A timestamp attribute is basically a combination of date and time values. We can also use timestamp with time zone, and timestamp P is also available for time zones. Okay, what else? We also have the ability to have date time. We also have the ability to have year, just year, nothing else. So year would be your 4-digit year value. Some databases allow you to have any year value, any integer 4-digit value to be a year. And some databases don't. So for example, I believe MySQL would allow you to have any integer value as a year. I believe Microsoft SQL does not allow any year, and we will see an example later. But essentially, it depends upon different database systems, and that is again not so. This idea is not a standard idea. So sometimes, if you're porting one table into another database system, it might not be quite as easy, right? You might need to pre-process that data to make it available. So these date, time, and year attributes are not standard types, but most database have them, basically. Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, so for Microsoft SQL Server, um, SQL Server for Microsoft before 2005 had these two data types. It had date time, that was more like timestamp. It represented both date and time, and it only allowed dates from January 1st, 1753 to December 31st, 9999. Let's hope your databases would run till that time, but essentially it allowed these time zones, sorry, these year ranges, and it also allowed a precision of 3 1/3 milliseconds, specifically a precision of 3 1/3 milliseconds. Don't ask me why, but that was supported by Microsoft SQL Server. And you would note one thing, that they started the year ranges from 1753 just so that they could avoid all the issues with the Julian and Gregorian calendar issues, right? So that is why they only allowed support for 1753 and onwards. You could also have something, you could have also had something called small date time that allowed our date range from for a smaller range, that was 1900s to 2079, with a precision of 1 minute. It allowed for a lower, higher performance, for lower representation space. But again, these became non-portable after a fact, right? So 2008 SQL Server, and we are talking about Microsoft SQL Server, right? So for 2008, SQL Server adds more standard like support, for example, date, time that we talked about, date, time, to and similar standard types. And it also allowed something called a date time offset. We will talk about offset in a second, but just remember that different databases uh, implement different things. Sometimes they would implement certain things that might be really useful, but they are not standard. So if you're changing your databases, we need to keep in mind and read the manual of the new database to make sure that everything is compatible between two or more databases, right? Okay. Formats. So in general, whenever we are inserting a date or time to a database, that your database would allow different sort of formats. And as you know that different countries have different formats. So the US has, for example, the month first, then the date, then the year. Other countries would have the date first, then the year, then the month, then the year. In general, uh, there is a standard for saving date and time values, but and we will talk about that in a second. But in general, uh, your database would allow multiple different types. So the one way of writing out date and time values are something similar to this, where within single quotes you give the date, that is 2003-06-10. So that is year, month, date. So that is the launch time for the Mars rover that we had called Spirit, right? So essentially June 10th, 2003, and within single quotes, the exact time. So hour, minutes, and seconds. And this is 24-hour time. So you can also submit a particular date time value or a timestamp value similar to this. That is single quotes 2003-06-10 and 17:58:46, whatever. Right. Sometimes the time value is also separated by a t value, but we might see something like that as well, but that's fine. Um, that would also allow, but so this is an interesting point, because since your date and time values are being inserted as string values and that is being converted, it would also allow you to insert invalid dates and times, right? So we can have 25th hour, 14 minutes and time like that, or we can have a date that is February 31st, right? So in that scenario, what do we do about it? If a user gives me a value that is the date of publishing a book, let's say publishing a book, for the date of publishing this book is 31st February. What do I do? What does the database do for that scenario? Well, we can say that this is an invalid date, we can't work with that. Or we can actually roll over the dates as well, and we can say that, 31st of February is going to be 28th of February plus 3 more days, so March 3rd. So as you can see, there are multiple ways that you can handle this, and different database implementations approach this problem differently. And again, you would have to look into this one, but date and time is much more touchy than other attributes, as you can see, because a good database would have to maintain a date and time value somewhere, at least some usable database. All right. So this was the standard time that I was talking about earlier. So this is the standard way of, well, ISO standard 8601 is the standard time for date and times. Year followed by month, followed by date, followed by the time. And this is an interesting format, because since this is a string, the reason I like this particular format is because now you can actually alphabetically sort your tuples and they will be sorted in the order of time, right? Because the year would change the very last time, very end, and milliseconds and microseconds would change first, followed by minutes, followed by hours, followed by dates, followed by months, and then years, right? So it also allows us to sort them out alphabetically and get those results. As I said, your database can allow other formats as well. So you can also have names for your months like June, July, April, August, what have you. But that also means that different representations of time might result in different things. So keep that in mind. So because, and I'll give you an example. So we can actually alphabetically sort this time format and then get them all in order. However, imagine the case where we have like month name, actual name, so April, August, and all of those things, June, July, and then date, and then year, and so on. Now, if we alphabetically sort this particular set of times, first month to come up would be April. What does that mean? The next month would be August. So that is a different matter, right? Okay, but in general, you can submit the ISO standard time for your database, or we can also submit Other formats like June 10, 2013, sorry, 2003, and the time, or 10 June 2003 followed by the time. Most databases would be able to parse any of those formats and get them into their own internal representation. Okay. We can also use current date, current time, and current timestamp values. So as they say that basically calling this particular function would get you the current date or time values for your entry. So if we use these three functions, these also include the time zone information. If we use the functions local time and local timestamp, these do not include time zone information. But one thing to note that this is the first time we are looking at some expressions like this, and I'm calling them functions, right? So in this class, we have not talked about functions yet. We will talk about them soon. But essentially, we can write our own functions as well. Since it's a programming language after all, we can write our own functions as well. But essentially, these functions get you the current date and time. There is also another function called now that gets you the current time as well. This is widely supported, but it is not the standard. Okay. Now, a couple more things about date and time. Remember that in the beginning of the entire semester, we talked about atomic values and atomic behaviors, right? We said that atomic values or atomic attributes are attributes whose values you cannot change in part. You have to change them as a whole or nothing at all. The example in relational model was given a date value, let's say month, year, and day. Given a date value, we should not be able to just change the year. If we want to change the date, we would need to scratch that entire date and write a new date, right? So that was in terms of the relational model. However, SQL does allow you to extract components of dates and time. So essentially, SQL does not consider your date and time values to be atomic, right? So we can say extract some field from the date time value, and we can extract the year, the month, day, hour, minute, second, and all of those things. There are other ways of other non-standard options available. I guess Postgres allows you to get the week of the year. I definitely know Microsoft SQL allows you to get century, but essentially there are other fields that you can extract from a date. Right? But these are all derived values from that particular date. So for example, we can have this table, and let's say that we have a table of sales and the date of individual sales, right? So we have the sale ID, that is an integer primary key, customer ID, and sale time, and that has a timestamp and it can't be null, right? So we can imagine that this would be recording all the sales that a particular shop makes. And let's say that you would want to get like a graph of which months are more susceptible to poorer sales, or which months would have more and more sales compared to the average. You can imagine the November months are going to have more sales compared to the summer months or things like that. So let's say that you want to have like a graph so that actually you can have inventory as and when required, right? You don't want to have too much inventory or too less inventory given up, right? So you can imagine that we can use this database